to the Black Corner. I have not been here in so long, so I decided to sit down and talk about some Black history since Ron DeSantis doesn't want us to talk about it. Let's see. On today's Black Corner, we are going to talk about the life and legacy of Annie Turnbo Malone. So Annie Turnbo Malone, born August 9th, 1869, died May 10th, 1957. We are going to talk about her life and her legacy. Annie Malone was a Black businesswoman. Many people do not know about her because her business was cosmetology and Black hair care products. When we talk about Black hair care products back in the late 1800s and early 1950s, we talk about Madame C.J. Walker. So Annie Malone was like a little known person, but she made millions. Annie Turnbo Malone made millions by launching a Black hair care empire, but like I said, it was overshadowed by Madame C.J. Walker. So let's talk about Annie Malone's early life. She was born to enslaved parents. Her father ended up having to fight in the Civil War. So when the father left to fight in the Civil War, Annie Malone's mom escaped from slavery and went to Illinois. And that is where Miss Malone was born. And that's where she found a fascination for hair care, and chemistry. Her and her younger sister would play around with hair care products. And that was back in the time, like I said, she was born in 1869. And back in those times, women did straighten their hair because that was thought to be the acceptable thing to do. Again, 1869 and 1900s, Black women, they used like goose grease to straighten their hair, and those things that they were using and a hot comb, it was very damaging to the Black hair. So Annie Malone came up with some concoctions that were actually healthier for Black hair. And she started off very small, right? She started off very small, going door to door with her non-damaging hair care products of special oils and creams specifically for Black women and Black hair. So again, she was going door to door with these products. Her initial products were called the Wonder Hair Growers, which is a great name. But she did revolutionize the Black hair industry with her products. And she opened her first shop in 1902. So she was born in 1869. I believe that would make her like in her 30s is when she opened her first shop. One of her selling agents, so she hired people to sell the product for her. And one of her sellers was Madame C.J. Walker. So Madame C.J. Walker worked for Annie Malone and was selling Annie Malone's concocted, like what Annie Malone made is what Madame C.J. Walker was selling in this shop. So eventually Madame C.J. Walker and Annie Malone had a fallout, and Madame C.J. Walker left the company. And when Madame C.J. Walker left the company, now this is all alleged, this is what they're saying in history, if you like search it, if you read Wikipedia, they're saying that when Madame C.J. Walker and Annie Malone broke off, that Madame C.J. Walker took the original formula that Annie Malone made. She took it with her. Annie Malone continued to open up stores, sell her products door to door, and do what she does. Her business was thriving until her husband because in this time, she had gotten married. Her husband filed for divorce and wanted half of the company. So she ended up having to hire an attorney, figure the stuff out, and settled with her husband, I believe, for $200,000. She settled with her. So her company took kind of a hit, but she continued to sell her product. Well, she continued to sell her product, but it wasn't thriving as much. She decided to open up a cosmetology school, and that is what she did. She opened up this school, and then she passed away in 1957 from a stroke. She did not have any heirs when she passed away. Her estate was only worth at that time $100,000, which is a shame because, again, she lost a lot of her money during that divorce and having to buy him out, and trying to just regroup. But she did a lot of philanthropy, and her estate was worth $100,000 by the time she died. She didn't have any heirs. Again, she left it to her nephews and her nieces, but she did leave a mark on the hair care industry. And I just wanted to talk about Annie Turnbo Malone, because, again, we only talk about Madame C.J. Walker, and there were other people who were trailblazers in the black hair care industry. And it's good to mention all of them because, again, when you're talking about black history, they don't tell all of the history, right? You get little bits and pieces. It's like they focus on one person, Madame C.J. Walker, and that's like all you hear about. When there was actually Annie Malone, who had Madame C.J. Walker working for her until they fell out. Like, who would have known? Anyway, thank you for coming. Just want to chat about that, and I'll see you soon.